News.
In Mississippi news, State Senator Chris McDaniels announces plans for the run for the lieutenant governor's position in the state. Here's reading from an article from the WCBI News out of Columbus, Mississippi. State Senator Chris McDaniels is eyeing a new job in the executive branch. McDaniels has qualified to run for the lieutenant governor in the year's state's election. He will face off against the incumbent Delbert Hoseman in the Republican primary. McDaniels has served 4 terms in the state Senate. He has also run unsuccessfully for U.S. Senate twice, including the heated primary race in 2014 against Thad Cochran. In 2018, he ran for the special election to fill Cochran's seat when he retired, but finished 3rd in the nonpartisan race. Wednesday at 5 p.m. is the deadline for candidates to qualify for the year's state, county, and legislative races. Party primaries are on August 8th. Remember that, August 8th is primaries in the state of Mississippi, with runoffs, if necessary, on the 29th. The general election is on November 7th. Folks, you got to get out there and vote these rhinos out of office. Mississippi's covered up with rhinos, full-fledged rhinos. You got to get out there and vote. You got to take them out of office. Make sure you get out there and vote in the primaries. In other Mississippi news, the shipping crisis on the Mississippi River has come to an end, apparently, by the Corps of Engineers. We're reading an article from the Farm Journal, agweb.com. It states here with the headline, "Is the shipping crisis on the Mississippi River coming to an end? What is the outlook for the spring?" The shipping crisis on the Mississippi River might finally be coming to an end. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been dredging the river for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week since July, ever since low water levels on the river due to drought started causing shipping backups. The Corps hopes to be done dredging by the end of the month. Officials say that the Soy Transportation Coalition say the American Army Corps of Engineers has done a great job dredging. They are also encouraged by the improved snowpack in areas such as Montana and participation through the midsection of the country late last fall and this winter. As a result, they are optimistic water levels on the Mississippi River and its tributaries are rebounding and could be back to normal by this spring. Also in Mississippi news, a story here from the AP News, Associated Press, communist garbage rag. In mostly abortion-free Mississippi, the court battle continues. Jackson, Mississippi. This is an article by Emily Wagster Pettis. Jackson, Mississippi, a physicians group based on the Midwest lacks legal standing and challenged a 25-year-old Mississippi Supreme Court ruling recognizing a right to abortion under the state constitution. Lawyers for 6 women who support abortion rights argue in court papers filed Friday. This case was brought by an out-of-state organization that obviously believes the government should force Mississippi women to carry pregnancies to term and give birth against their will. Mississippi Senator for Justice Attorney Rob McDuff said Friday, adding to those who filed suit have no practical stake in this particular case. The legal fight could be more about principle than practicality, because Mississippi's only abortion clinic shut down in July, weeks after the U.S. Supreme Court upended abortion rights nationwide with the case that oriented in this state. Like some other conservative states, Mississippi had a trigger that would ban most abortions once the landmark's 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling was overturned. The American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists filed a lawsuit in November in a Mississippi court saying the state has a potential conflict between the 2007 trigger law and the 1998 ruling Pro-Choice Mississippi versus Fordyce, which held the abortion is a right protected by the state's constitution. On to national news. Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis apparently was involved in a cover-up in Atlanta and was terminated as police chief in Atlanta before she took the job in Memphis. And here's more details from the New York Post. An article by Isabel Vincent. Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis fired from previous Atlanta job after botched sex crimes probe. The article reads, the chief of police in Memphis, in charge of the 5 officers who fatally beat and tasered motorist Tyree Nichols, were fired from a previous law enforcement job after botched probe. C.J. Davis became the first female police chief in the Memphis history in 2021 and is currently the international spotlight after 5 cops brutally beat Tyree Nichols to death. She was fired from the Atlanta Police Department in 2008 for her alleged involvement in a sex crime investigation into the husband of an Atlanta police sergeant, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. 2 detectives were accused, Davis of telling them not to investigate, Terrell Marion Crane, who was married to Sergeant Tanya Crane, after the police department obtained photos of him with underage girls. A federal grand jury later indicted Terrell Crane on child pornography. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of child pornography in 2009, the newspaper reported. The indictment was issued after Atlanta police took no action in the case and a subsequent investigation by the city pointed to Davis as the reason. Davis was demoted from major to lieutenant before being fired from the force that she had joined in 2008. And now she's the chief of police in the city of Memphis. Good job, Memphis. And breaking news about Joe Biden and his classified documents being everywhere, in every home, every car, every bathroom, every prostitute's drug house or whatever. FBI searches for Joe Biden's Delaware beach house today. That's actually happening right now as we speak. But here's an article from USA Today by Kevin Johnson. FBI searches Joe Biden's Delaware beach house as part of a classified documents investigation. This is from February 1st, 2023. The FBI was searching President Joe Biden's Delaware beach home Wednesday as part of an ongoing inquiry into the handling of classified documents. Biden attorney Bob Bauer confirmed the action, saying the Rehoboth, I don't know how you say that properly, beach search was planned with the president's full support and cooperation, citing the Justice Department's desire for operational security and integrity. My ass. Bauer said that there was no public notice of the action, which was consensual and did not require a warrant like they did Trump, where they raided him. The search today is further step in a thorough and timely DOJ process we will continue to fully support and facilitate, Bauer said. The beach home marks the 3rd known location the FBI has searched in the connection with the discovery of unsecured classified documents related to Joe Biden. In November, agents searched a former Washington, D.C. office used by Biden after leaving the vice presidency following the discovery of a first batch of documents by the president's lawyers. Last month, the FBI conducted a day-long search of Biden's Wilmington, Delaware residence, recovering a small number of classified items, which I'm sure is hogwash. I'm sure it was more than a small number. It was not immediately clear whether any additional records were recovered during that search. Trump sues. This is an article from The New Republic, an article written by Torrin Oten. Trump sues journalist Bob Woodward for making an audiobook of multiple interviews he agreed to. Donald Trump is seeking nearly $50 million in damages over audiobook of his interviews, which Woodward says were voluntary and on the record. Donald Trump sues Bob Woodward Monday for using recordings of interviews they did to make an audiobook. I don't understand where's the editor at? Claiming he only gave the journalist permission to use them for a book. Woodward interviewed Trump for hours over the course of 19 interviews in 2016, December 2019, and August 2020. The recordings became the basis for Woodward's 2020 book, Rage, which was about Trump presidency. After 2 years later, publisher Simon & Schuster released the recordings of an audiobook, The Trump Tapes. The lawsuit, first reported by Bloomberg, focused on Woodward's alleged usurpation, manipulation, and exploitation of the material, according to the court documents filed Monday. Stepping off the stage into the World News Forum, I just was going to let y'all know that here's an article from ABC, or NBC News, I should say, written by It's an Associated Press article. All right, the finding follows more. U.S. accuses Russia of endangering nuclear arms control treaty. The finding follows more hopeful U.S. assets that the countries would be able to salvage cooperation by limiting nuclear weapons despite tensions over Russia's war on Ukraine. You know what? I have been doing this in the dark light. Russia's refusal, and this is released on February 1st today, this year at 6:09 a.m. this morning. Russia's refusal to allow on-the-ground inspections to resume is endangering the New START nuclear treaty and the U.S. arms control overall, the Biden administration charged on Tuesday. The finding was delivered to Congress and summarized in a statement by the U.S. Department. It follows months of more hopeful U.S. assessments that the two countries would be able to salvage cooperation by limiting strategic nuclear weapons despite high tensions over Russia-Ukraine war. Inspections of U.S. and Russian military sites under the New START treaty would pause by both sides because of the spread of coronavirus in March 2020. The U.S. Russia committee overseeing the implementation of the treaty last met in October 21. But Russia then unilaterally suspended its cooperation with the treaty's inspection provisions in August of 2022 to protest U.S. support for Ukraine. Russia's refusal to facilitate inspections activities prevent the United States from exercising important rights under the treaty and threatens the viability of U.S.-Russia nuclear arms control, the State Department said Tuesday. The administration also blamed Russia for the two countries' failure to resume talks required under the New START treaty. Russia's foreign minister said last August that it has told the U.S. it was temporarily suspending on-site inspections required under the treaty. It said U.S. sanctions imposed over Russia's February 2022 invasion of Ukraine had changed conditions between the two countries and claimed the U.S. was blocking Russia from carrying out their own inspections at U.S. sites. The State Department on Tuesday denied the U.S. was blocking inspections by the Russians. It insisted the U.S.-Russian nuclear arms control efforts were essential to the security of the U.S., its allies, and the world at large. It is all the more important during the times of tension when guardrails and clarity matter most, the State Department stated. I'm sure they let all the propaganda they've talked about Russia. You think they're just going to let Russians go inspect their nuclear weapons? No, they're not going to do it. They're going to be like, no, they're going to treat them like chumps. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. All right, in a big nation of South Africa, I come to you with an article from The Guardian. 8 people shot dead at a birthday party in South Africa. Yes, sir, in South Africa. Looks like America's not the only place that they have large amounts of black-on-black violence. All right, Sunday's attack in Eastern Cape Province highlights country's problems with violent crime. Sounds like they might have the same problem we have here. 8 people were killed and 3 others wounded when gunmen opened fire at a birthday party in South Africa's Eastern Cape Province, local officials said. Sunday's attack is the latest in a series of shootings that has highlighted the country's problems dealing with violent crime and increasingly widespread use of deadly weapons. The attack was carried out at a private home by 2 men late on Sunday afternoon in KwaZulu-Natal, Johannesburg. A spokesman, I'm sorry I mispronounced your name, a spokesperson for the South African Police Service said in a statement. KwaZulu-Natal, Gakwubra. Y'all try to figure it out yourself. The gunman fled after the attack and no arrests have been made, police said. They are investigating the circumstances and possible motive for the attack. Police have not named the victims but confirmed the owner of the house was among them. This victim was killed by criminals, and we will not rest until we find out what happened and who was responsible for this callous and cold-blooded attack on these unsuspecting victims, said the Eastern Cape SAPS commissioner, Nathaniel Liam Meany. South Africa has long been blighted by high levels of violent crime, one of the many legacies of decades of rule by the repressive, racist apartheid regime. But killings with guns have been rising year on year for decades. It's funny how they put that in there because I think the repressive, racist apartheid regime collapsed in like the early '80s, and it's been, and you can't, and you're still trying to blame it on the repressive, racist apartheid regime. Crazy. 4 attacks within days in July focused attention on the problem. In the most serious incident, gunmen used automatic rifles and handguns to kill 15 people and injured a further 8 in a mass shooting at a tavern in the Johannesburg, Soweto Township on July the 10th. A key witness to the attack in the Namanzamo informal settlement in the Orlando East neighborhood disappeared last week and is feared dead. Most deaths in these incidents were the result of personal quarrels between individuals, experts say, but an increasing proportion of killings are the work of groups including vigilantes, politically motivated criminal networks, organized gangs, as well. Between April and the end of June 2021, 5,760 homicides were committed in South Africa. That's significant right there. One of the highest per capita rates in the world. About a third of violent crimes recorded each month involve firearms. But they're probably going to blame the guns down there just like they do try to do here. But I'll leave a link to the article so you can dig into it deeper. But thank you for watching KRAC News. Y'all have a good evening.